Welcome to Full Speed Racing. We're here for the 2012 Lotus Festival at a gloriously sunny Brands Hatch. It is the F3 Cup. With just 5.5 points separating the top 2 and 5 different winners over 10 races, means this is arguably one of the closest fought single-seater championships in the whole country. And this is the first time we see these cars out on the Grand Prix circuit. The weather is glorious, looks set to be a fantastic race. We hope you enjoy the show. The F3 Cup is very close this year. We caught up with ex-F3 Cup champion and hot contender for this year, Gino Usi. So Gino, the last time you raced a full F3 Cup season was in 2000. You won the championship. What brings you back this year?
Well, I was watching it from afar through the press, saw that Jonathan Palmer had got hold of it via the Motorsport Vision, and you know, I did half a season of Formula Palmer Audi in 2001, and I'd seen what his racing is all about, and he really puts on a good show. He really puts, you know, it feels like a proper championship, and you can see by what's happened this year. This is a proper championship.
And how's the season going for you then this year?
Well, it's been one of those seasons, I'm sure you'll hear it up and down the pit lane, but it's one of those seasons that started off with a lot of difficulty. We just couldn't get it set up. It was a brand new car for us. A was a brand new car. B, I'd been out of single-seaters for years. So, you know, we took time to really get the car working. And in fact, this weekend is the first time we've really got the car working in the dry. So sort of our championship really starts here, so to speak.
And it seems to be a very close-run championship this year.
Yeah, you know, I'm really enjoying it because unlike some championships where everybody's trying to, you know, prove something in every corner, the guys are really quick here. There's a lot of great talent in here, but there's a lot of respect up and down the pit lane, and you can see it in the racing. So people give each other, if you've lost the corner, you've lost the corner, and you go for the next one. So there's a real championship spirit here. It's a really, there's real talent up at the front, but it's good club racing.
And plans for the future? You're going to stay in the F3 Cup?
No, I'll make it a Formula One. No, I'm staying in F3 Cup for now, see what happens. You know, I mean, I think a full season next year of this, now that we've sorted it out, you know, good season next year. Hopefully, we'll see how the second half goes, but set it up for the next season.
Well, very optimistic Gino Usi then. He lines up third on the grid behind the front row of Karush Carney and Linton Stootley. Louis Hamilton-Smith, it is in fourth position. Chris Tippman and Tristan Cliff complete row 3. The revs rise. And out go the red lights, away we go, and it's Karush Carney who sprints into the early advantage. Linton Stootley also well away well, but he's into second. So Carney it is who sprints into the early lead in car with Tristan Cliff as he successfully negotiates Paddock Hill Bend up in pursuit of Mark Harrison. Clover Hill towards Druids, it's very vigorous in the midfield. Jeremy Timms and Chris Needham engaged in battle as we're in car with Tony Bishop through Druids. It's Dave Kraskers just up ahead of us, as the race leads already through Graham Hill Bend, accelerating towards Surtees, and the car's making absolutely wonderful sight as Kraskers goes around the outside of Philip Austin, and now Bishop looks to start up the move with Austin as well, accelerating on towards Surtees, and through goes Bishop. He just about gets his nose ahead of Austin as they turn through Surtees and out onto the Grand Prix loop, which was almost designed for Formula 3 racing. The cars making a superb sight out on the Grand Prix loop. Wonderful to see such a full field of them as well, and everybody at MSV has worked so hard to build this championship this year, and it really is paying off with some excellent racing and a gigantic grid. The drivers all relishing the opportunity to compete on the Grand Prix loop, but it is turning into a very close race, this one. Karush Carney and Linton Stootley leading the way. Tristan Cliff though right up behind Mark Harrison, a little bit lower down in the top 10, and Tristan Cliff needs a good points haul this weekend in order to keep his championship challenge on track. He started the year very strongly with a run of podiums, but he's not been right at the very sharp end of the field for a couple of rounds now. Whereas Karush Carney, well, he's an interloper this weekend. It's his first appearance of the year, the Iranian driver. He is ahead of the double Donington Park winner Linton Stootley at the moment. And Stootley keeping Carney very honest, which is very impressive because Linton Stootley runs in one of the older trophy class cars, which is the pre-2001 cars running in the F3 Cup, and then the main Cup class is for cars from 2002 through to 2007. So Linton Stootley doing a really very fine job to stay the wheel tracks of Karush Carney. Well, both the race leaders have raced with considerable success elsewhere. Carney in the Formula 2 Championship, the FA Formula 2 Championship, and then Linton Stootley, former front runner of the British Formula 4 Championship, and therefore it's perhaps no surprise to see the pair of them running off at the head of the field. Carney in particular, he's got a huge amount of support this weekend. The Iranian driver, he's got a lot of journalists following his progress this weekend, and at the moment he's rewarding them richly, putting the car on pole position and then pulling away from Linton Stootley in the early stages of this race. What about Tristan Cliff? He's trying to make a move with Mark Harrison, and he's going to go for an into-sheen curve, and that's a very, very brave move from Tristan Cliff to squeeze up ahead of Mark Harrison. That is the move for sixth position on the road, as Louis Hamilton-Smith runs in fourth, in behind Gino Usi. So Usi and Hamilton-Smith running together, and Gino Usi, well, whatever those set-up challenges he had were, they clearly have resolved themselves, because this car running very nicely in the dry weather here at Brands Hatch. Louis Hamilton-Smith, already a race winner this year. He did that at Silverstone back in May, and he'd like to get himself up onto the podium, but he's got the immovable object of Gino Usi up ahead of him to overhaul first of all. So Hamilton-Smith heads up through the gears, as into the pit lane unfortunately comes Winston Graham. So Winston Graham comes in to join the already abandoned car of Neil Harrison, and there is Karouche Carney running on his own, and Linton Stootley's into the pits as well. So Linton Stootley, who was in second position, is out of the race, so that promotes this to being the fight for second and third place in the race, and also Cup class second place as well. It means that leading the trophy class now is Chris Dittman, who runs in fourth just behind this battle. So through Sheen Curve we have Usi and Hamilton-Smith, with Chris Dittman really not too far back and staying in touch with this leading group of drivers, as scrabbling for grip, the tyres just squealing. Formula 3 cars just look absolutely immaculate. The standards of preparation in this championship as well really are superb. And let's not forget that just a couple of years ago these cars were being raced by today's Formula 1 stars, so it's wonderful to see them out racing on the Grand Prix circuit and being raced so competitively as Gino Usi and Louis Hamilton-Smith continue to engage each other in battle, and you just wonder it's really only a matter of time before Gino Usi claims the victory. Also going well are two of the more venerable drivers in the field, Chris Needham and Jeremy Timms, both of whom vastly experienced in Formula 3 machinery in different categories over the years, whereas Gino Usi, well, he is just getting faster and faster. He seems to be able to withstand the challenge at the moment from Louis Hamilton-Smith as they turn through Hawthorns, accelerating on towards Westfield, into Westfield Gun. There is Chris Dittman in fourth place, and Dittman of course looking to pick up a good haul of points by winning the trophy class. So we've got one Masters class car, that's in the hands of Dave Carrascus, as out of Sterling's accelerating onto clearways once more. Comes the fight for second and third. Then we've got Dittman in fourth. Very tight battle still between Chris Needham and Jeremy Timms. It's just in favour of Needham at the moment, although Timms will be looking to pick his way past if he possibly can, as we ride in car with Tony Bishop bouncing off the rev limiter and missing the apex and sheet. Over the gravel trap he goes. Will we have contact with the barriers? Oh, he just gets the car stopped in time, and that was very nearly an expensive mistake for Tony Bishop. He's only lost a place as well. There goes Dave Carrascus. So Dave Carrascus gets ahead of Tony Bishop, who is then able to withstand the challenge of Philip Austin, who tries to weave around and past him. So we catch a glimpse of Chris Dittman, then the trophy class leader. And Dittman, another driver, has been in very fine form this year. He wasn't really expecting to race the whole season. He was more looking to run other drivers throughout the course of the year, as he's been so successful in the early stage of the season that he has decided to go all the way and challenge for the championship, because the champion in the F3 Cup wins a test drive in the Williams-designed FIA Formula 2 car. So a very fine prize that these drivers are racing for. It's one of the reasons, I think, why we're seeing such a close and competitive field. But now Dittman, in terms of his overall race position, in fourth, is coming under a little bit of pressure from Tristan Cliff, who's homing on his tail. Likewise, Prajesh Shah is all over the tail of Stuart Wiltshire. Wiltshire showing Shah the grass there. So it's Stuart Wiltshire in the number 4 car, the white car, Prajesh Shah, the first of the red cars in that queue. He's in the number 10 machine. It's a pair of them running line astern into Surtees, and again Shah trying to force his way through, and it's always risky when you try to force the move. In each and every corner, they're being chased down by Mark, Terry and James Abbott. There is James in the number 74 car. As Shah looks to the move on Wiltshire into Westfield, that's never going to work. Oh, they tangle, and into the gravel trap goes Stuart Wiltshire. Prajesh Shah should rejoin, and there really wasn't the move on there for Prajesh Shah, and that sometimes can happen. Over-optimism, maybe a lack of experience in these cars. It's very easy with the amount of downforce afforded to actually forget the levels of grip available. As Robbie Watts is another driver who's had a problem. He has just brushed into the tyre barriers as Shah recovers, but would appear to be ailing en route back to the pitch. Yes, that car running a long way below racing speed, so Prajesh Shah very shortly to head into the pits as Tony Bishop continues in his attempts to overhaul Dave Carrascus through Graham Hill Bend, and Bishop moving up through the gears and downshifting into Surtees. Nice, smooth, clean run through Surtees, but he's not able to get himself onto terms with Carrascus, so Carrascus maintains that 10th position for the time being, and also the lead, of course, in the Masters class. Dave Carrascus, driver who's raced pretty much every category of car, up to and including historic Formula 1 cars, and a very welcome addition to the F3 Cup grid. So the Dittmann and Tristan Cliff battle continues, with Chris Dittmann keeping Tristan Cliff behind him. Tristan, though, on course for some more solid championship points. Through Surtees he comes. He'd really like to be able to move his way up ahead of Chris Dittmann. I don't think he's going to be quite able to do it, and certainly these two drivers are the ones who could find themselves battling for the championship at the end of the season, as into clearways for the final turn comes Kurush Carney. It's been a super drive from Carney, and he punches the air into light. He takes the checker flag, and victory in the F3 Cup on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. What about that fight for second position? It does go in favour of a delighted Gino Usi, with then third placed Lewis Hamilton Smith to complete the podium. A very busy and jubilant podium. Kurush Carney takes the overall race victory. The trophy victory did go to Chris Dittmann, and Dave Carrascus claimed Masters class honours as the drivers celebrate on the podium with the trophies and the champagne. And Gino Usi first off the mark with a champagne fight, even he was runner-up in the race.
Yeah, it was pretty good all around the weekend. We were quick in testing, 2 pole positions, 2 fastest laps and 2 race wins, which is the best way to end the weekend, and the team done a great job at preparing the car and giving me a reliable car.
Well, the championship is very, very tight. Just a couple of points between Tristan Cliff and Chris Dittmann as we move towards the latter stages of the season. Still 3 rounds to go for the F3 Cup.